Yes, please. And I need the couch.
I can take care of it now too.
Yes. Thank you.
These sheets up there. Does anybody have a knife? We don't know. Yeah, it's on the table. Over there. By the flowers, we got them there.
So far. Any pieces of clothesline.
Okay, good. Is that church? Because that is set around here.
Okay.
That's what you're saying earlier, I don't know. He's not putting the sign right now.
I just want to set them off.
Flowers coming through.
I have more. Maybe 4 feet or more.
Oh, I was just trying to until.
But this one seemed that compared to the ones that we go to now, you didn't.
And you said you want more of that. And was gonna have some.
I just asked Sui, what does it say? She's talking. What's going on?
I remember all the pretty. Okay, I came in where they had all the pastel colored houses. Yeah, I think he got it. Now, and I'm not sure. To be honest.
Yeah, I don't even know how I can process it. Oliver, look at him now. We can tease him because he's
Yeah, that was.
有抱負嘅人，佢和藹可親，以人為善，真誠待人。佢重友情，結識結交眾多嘅朋友。佢重親情，尊敬孝順父母，愛護關心晚輩嘅成長，係個優秀嘅兒子，同埋優秀嘅叔叔、叔伯同埋舅父。
Wei Lun was a man full of desires and hopes and dreams. He was genuine. He was kind. He treated the world graciously. He treasured the many friendships and bonds forged throughout his lifetime. He loved his family, respected his elders. He was an excellent son and a brilliant uncle.
為了崇尚東方文化，為咗探索中國嘅道家同埋太極拳嘅真諦，年青嗰陣時，佢長途跋涉，走遍大江南北，到各地去尋訪名師，尊師重道，虛心求學，幾十年嚟堅持刻苦習武。精益求精，練就咗一身嘅好功夫。佢嘅拳術同埋拳品得到前輩師傅嘅肯定同埋讚賞，以及同道師兄弟嘅敬重。喺中國佛山精武會曾受以太極快拳王嘅稱號，同時 佢多次參加國際性嘅武術比賽，都獲得咗殊榮。
Wei Lun immersed himself in Eastern culture. In his youth, he delved into the essence of Taoism and Tai Chi. He journeyed across distant lands to seek out those who can impart wisdom. Through respect, humility, and decades of dedication, he has embodied the art which he so eagerly shared with many of us. His skill in class has garnered the approval of his Sifu, the respect of his peers, as well as certain prestige within the Martial Arts Association of Foshan, China. It also earned him countless awards in international competition.
80年代，威倫移民到美國之後，就醉心於鑽研太極快同埋走教授武術同埋太極之路。30幾年嚟，佢以精湛嘅功底、循循善誘嘅方法，得到無數學生嘅尊敬同埋愛戴，可謂桃李滿天下，為弘揚中國太極事業嘅發展作出咗畢生嘅努力同埋貢獻。
After Wei Lun immigrated to the United States in the 80s, he devoted himself in his Tai Chi fast form and walked a path of imparting his own knowledge and wisdom. In the past 3 decades, he has earned the admiration and love of countless students with his unique teaching methods and candid approach. With his lifetime of contributions to Chinese martial arts, his disciples now span all corners under the heavens.
衛倫係對知識有好強烈嘅追求，特別喺少年時代，由於歷史嘅原因，佢失去咗入學嘅機會。但係佢毫不氣餒，克服重重困難，自學英語、數學、文學同埋藝術，以增進充實自己嘅文化修養。一生從不間斷。衛倫多才多藝，尤其係對小提琴有好深嘅造詣。佢集古典嘅樂曲難度好大，但係佢揮灑自如，經常參加各種嘅文藝演出，供人們欣賞，俾人類帶嚟咗好大嘅歡樂。
Wei Lun had an incredible thirst for knowledge, especially in his youth. Due to historical and political reasons, he lost his opportunity to go to school. But he never gave up history. He overcame numerous obstacles to self-teach English, math, literature, arts, ceaselessly improving his awareness and understanding. As a result, Wei Lun became a man of many talents, especially his deep connection with the violin. He was able to perform classical music even with the highest degree of difficulty. He often played in concerts and brought joy of music to many.
今日，衛倫嘅家人、學生同埋朋友喺佢生前教授太極拳同見證佢事業發展嘅地方，為佢舉辦悼念同埋告別儀式。相信衛倫在天之靈都感到欣慰。
Today, his family, his students, his friends are all gathered to commemorate his life in a place where he touched the lives of many, where we have witnessed essential developments of his career and taught in this very park that we're sitting in. We only hope that he smiles down upon us with a sense of contentment.
班中一支千滴淚，詩人已經離去，痛心疾首。希望大家快悲痛為力量， 學習衛倫嘅優秀品質，發揚佢美景嘅事業，完成佢嘅遺願。
As one of his favorite poem words, one bamboo, 1,000 tears. As we are all processing this incredible and incredibly painful news of Wei Lun's departure, let's also celebrate his lifetime of achievements, his character, his resolve. It is our hope that everyone here will carry on with his spirit and continue his life's work.
衛倫兄弟，安息啦，一路走好，我哋永遠懷念你。多謝。
Wei Lun, dear brother, may you rest in peace, and may you commence in your new journey. We will miss you forever.
Thank you。
Wei Lun is not only a master in teaching, but he's also a youth.
喺佢練習武藝嘅同時，同埋我一齊嚟到美國。
My dear brother Wei Lun, we actually trained together when we were young. We started out training together, and we also came to the U.S. together on the same day.
喺我同佢嚟到美國之後，佢帶住我呢個細佬，自動幫咗我。
When we did move to a new world, he brought endless help and support to his little brother.
佢工作之餘不忘練武。
Even in his busy everyday work to earn a living, he never forgot his teachings and his practice.
我係佢細佬，唔識得武功，呢個係我同佢嘅故事。
As his brother, I never stuck with his disciplines, but this is our story.
有一天晚上，佢同我切磋武功。
One evening, we were playing around with the kung fu that we learned together.
我好重力出手打佢，結果俾佢用佢嘅太極功夫輕輕一撥將我打到。但佢打到我嘅時候，我就倒下嘅時候，佢順手就要即把我拉翻起身。
I tried the very best I could. I gave it my all to try to knock him over, to try to combat with him. But he just moved his little arm just like that, and then the next thing I know, I was over there. Many of you probably know the similar stories. But I didn't fall. Just a little hand, I was already standing back in front of him, just like that again, without ever hitting the ground.
我個鄰哥，佢不單止武術精湛，而且仲係一個音樂嘅天才。
Wei Lun is not only a master in seafood, but she's also a musical genius.
喺佢練習武藝嘅同時，還刻苦練習小提琴。
He was able to have real discipline in both disciplines at the same time and master both disciplines.
喺佢嘅小提琴老師精心嘅教授下，佢自己刻苦努力，而達到喺小提琴嘅同行裏面，亦同樣係出類拔萃。
With all of his hard work and dedication, he was able to achieve similar prestige in violin as much as in martial arts, and recognized by his peers as such.
結果也成功地喺佛山坐上咗第一把小提琴嘅教練。
And before he left, he was actually first violin in the Foshan Symphony, the city where he was from.
所以喺我哋佛山文藝界裏邊，佢一樣有好崇高嘅地位。喺呢度，你哋係佢哋嘅學生或者親友，都大家都好了解佢。我唔識武功，我只能夠代表文藝界嘅喺佢文藝界裏邊嘅朋友，祝佢一路好走。
All of you here know Wei Lun with his depth of knowledge in the martial arts and Tai Chi in Liuba. So I will represent his peers in the arts community to wish him a safe journey.
去到極樂世界裏面，繼續發掘佢仲未使盡嘅潛能，再一次登峰造極，更好嘅發揚光大，祝路上平安，細佬入馬。Thank you.
May he, in his next life, whatever he's going to do, realize his full potential again in whatever that he sets his mind to. Safe journey, brother.
We have been training throughout the day, whenever we had a minute, whenever he had a minute, whenever he wanted us to do some training, we would do some training. In return, I helped him around the house. Towards the end, his body condition was not the best, so I did what I could to repay him for the knowledge that he was giving me. Just whatever I could do to help him around the house, everyday errands, whatever it could be, I basically took care of everything that needed to be done for him, that he didn't want to do for himself. And that was the arrangement that me and Sifu had. With that in mind, there's a few short stories that I would like to share with my experience with him, because I feel the time that I spent with him may be a little different than the time that everybody else got to spend with him, because he's touched so many people's lives, and as I said, I didn't come into the picture towards the end of the story for him. And one of the stories for me that really showed me what type of person I was dealing with was when I first came down and started talking with him. The first training that we'd ever do would just be sitting in the house, and he would just go over theory, application, sensations, these types of things. And he was giving me some exercises that I should do at home. And one of them was handstands up against the wall, doing a handstand up against the wall. And as serious as can be, with no smirk, no smile, complete serious expression, he goes, yes, go ahead, go and do a handstand up the wall, hold it as long as you can. And I'm like, yes, Sifu, I mean, what am I, 5 minutes, is that good? He goes, yeah, 5 minutes is okay. Very straight face, no sign of laughter, just very straightforward. He says, yeah, 5 minutes, that's good. You know, he goes, 1 hour, that's better. That's better. When you can fall asleep, this is very good. This is very good. This is very good. Straight, I mean, he was not exaggerating when he was telling me this story. This was coming from his heart. Another story, again, a little on the lighter side, is once I had moved in with him, we had started doing push heads. We were doing push heads a lot, which is basically, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar, but basically like push hands, but except your contact point is your forehead, is part of your head. And we were doing push hands from our knees. We were on all fours and we were moving, and you know, I was being receptive, just flowing, moving, and finally he says, okay, he's like, no, come to my center, push me over. So I start moving in a little bit more and advancing, and he's, you know, I could tell now he's starting to work. He's starting to work a little bit. Very serious expression on his face. There's no joking, neither one of us. And I was starting to move, and with this body condition, I could feel I was getting down. I was starting to get underneath and slightly getting his root, finding his root a little bit, and moving him back. And just very, very slowly, he starts moving back. And very, you know, as he's going back, I can feel he's engaging more, and finally he just hits a point. He just hits a point where he's on his knees and he's leaning back a little bit too far, and he starts going back with still this very serious expression on his face, and all of a sudden he falls over backwards on his back and just bursts out in that typical type of laughter that he would do, and just starts laughing. And it was one of those instances where we were both in tears. I mean, of course, it's not the same telling the story, but we were both rolling around on the ground in tears that I had just knocked him over while we were doing push heads. And it was like something I'll always remember. And the last quick story that I'd like to share is also kind of not so much a story as a teaching, as part to show what Kung Fu was to him and what he was trying to teach me. Because occasionally I would, you know, we'd be training, and we'd do some training, do some errands around the house, and finally I'd be like, yeah, see if I'm getting bored. I think I'm gonna go fishing, or I think I'm gonna go do whatever, da 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 da. And Sifu was like, no. He's like, no. You're never bored. You're never bored. You can do standing positions, you can do walking postures, you can be going over the connections in your body. There's all types of things. You should never, ever be bored. And that's what, since I've known him, that's what the martial arts has been for him. It's something that it was, he didn't do it for 1 hour a day. You know, he did something else for 1 hour a day. Kung Fu was what he was doing all since I had known him. It's what he had did, and it was his life. That's what his life was. That's what he did. And on that note, also, of course, you know, my experience was a little bit different than most from having lived with him, and he was always giving these, you know, there's always some bit of wisdom that he would have for me throughout the day, whatever it may be, this and that. And there's a few of them that really, stuck well, and I think, given the situation, may have some meaning for other people, not just me. And one of them was, you know, he always said to, you know, never try to be good. You know, never try to be good at what you do. You know, that's not good enough. You have to be the best that you can be. You can't just go, okay, yeah, I want to do well. That's good enough what I'm doing. Oh, yeah, I can get this, I understand. That was never good enough. You always needed to be doing your best. The other thing is when it came to time, you know, there was a lot of times where I would, you know, sometimes you take these things for granted when you're living with someone like Sifu. You can take the time and the moments that you have together for granted. And doing things today instead of tomorrow was another thing that he was always very adamant about. And on that note, I think you know, since he had so many lessons for everybody, I think you know, the final lesson I know that he very much left me is that, you know, time is really the only currency that we have. And to make sure that with the time that you have, to make sure that you're doing everything that you should be doing. And whatever, not just Kung Fu, not just in a Kung Fu lifestyle, but in whatever that may be for you in your life. And that's pretty much what I would like to share about my experience with Sifu. So.
My name is Dennis. I've been studying with Sifu for almost 8 years now. I've been studying with Sifu for almost 8 to 10 years now. And I've been doing martial arts since I was 8 years old. And I started with Taekwondo, and by the time I met him, it was only one seminar that I took that I realized he was the answer for all the martial arts we see today. And he has a skill that I can't explain in words. And I've been to Japan, I've been to China for martial art purposes. That's all I do. I chose to do martial arts because when I came to this country, I saw that a modern country, a 250-year-old country, only thing it's missing is how to be a human being. Because the Chinese cultures are much older. And not every Chinese is like Sifu. It was a knowledge that he embodied because he came from time. And so when he came to teach it here, he didn't hold back. He tried to give everything he can. And anyone that studied with him, and whether you're a Sifu, you're a master, whatever you are, if you spend a day with him, he's changed your life. He didn't take anything from anyone. For what he knew, each and every one of us, no matter how much money you gave him, he gave you 100 times more. And just like Leo, I got to spend the last part of his life with him, where he was by himself a lot, because he was this great master, so we have to give him that space. So I see him sometimes at David's house, at a party or whatever, so I realized that he's literally those guys that you find in a mountain, cultivating to be a human being. And we don't know how to cultivate. We don't know how to take care of people like that. He had so many plans. He wanted to do so many things. He wanted everything to be perfect. So he took his time with the DVDs, and he didn't ask. He didn't want to ask anyone, because in their culture, and just like my culture, if somebody does something like this, they're not supposed to ask. We're supposed to do it for them. Just like, I wish you can see all of you guys, because that's all he wanted. It was just people. He loved people. He was the most genuine human being. And the only thing he asked for is take care of the art that he taught. He genuinely taught it from his heart. And it didn't matter if you had skill or not, because most of you guys are professionals, and we live in America, and you know you wouldn't cut your toe today if it wasn't for him. The kind of stress that you have, the kind of jobs that you're dealing with, it is impossible to think that you can do that without that knowledge. We have to acknowledge these things. We have to take care of these people, because that's literally the only thing missing in a modern country. You don't have to reinvent anything. So the last 5 years, I was trying to get him to get into the business, because I have other teachers from my different systems that I do that do DVDs, and they know how to market themselves, and they do all these things because they use their surrounding. Any CEO, any doctor, any lawyer that you know has at least 10 assistants around them. consistently. Even having my daughter now to say, oh, you want me to turn the bath on for you? That's a lot. And so if we didn't go Christian or people didn't come and do privates, and as soon as they leave, he's by himself. And he's in this country. It's not like he's in a mountain cultivating or anything like that. There's a lot of distractions. So then he tries to fit in and tries to do what everybody's trying to do. But his skill, I have never seen anything like it. It's not just a martial skill. It was just a human being. It was a genuine human being. The only reason why we won't see it when he was alive was because he told you a lot of the things you did wrong. Because he's your teacher. That's what teachers are supposed to do. So when you stand in a posture and it's wrong, this is why you have the skill you have today. At the same time, you resent, just like your parents, until they're gone, and we're sad about it. So I ask every one of you, whoever studied with him, understand the value you have, and pass that on, as pure as you can have, pass it. Because he didn't assign anyone, because he wanted everyone to work with each other and learn different things. He didn't teach everyone the same lessons. Because traditionally, masters did that because they wanted their students to come together and work. Because most of the times, the egos couldn't allow you to do that. This is a highly elevated person. This is not. And he couldn't say it. He couldn't go around saying, I'm this, you have to treat me this way. Just like his sister said. He is genuinely one of the most giving and generous person I've ever met. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Someone I want to mention is one of my brother's oldest student and senior student, Hassan Oji. He came to the hospital just about every day. Just about every day to take care of Wei Lun. And I really want him to say something, share your experience with Wei Lun.
How do you like it?
Thank you.
It's not easy to talk about Sifu. How I met him was very interesting. I would like to share with you that I got shot with an M1 rifle in front of my house in this position. Exactly what he went through, the hospital I went through. And when I had reverse colostomy, one of the earliest seafood students was demonstrating Yang style Tai Chi. I was doing Wu style for about 8 years at that time. And he said that I have a seafood from China that is really good if you want to come and meet him. And he demonstrated the first part of Tai Chi and he just pulled me down. I still had my Band-Aid on my stomach from reverse colostomy. And I just kneeled down immediately, not kneeling down, but I was just gave in right away. And I said, I want to meet your seafood. I went to his office. We went to the park in North Miami, Cloverleaf Park on 6th Avenue, 159. We met seafood. Immediately, it was a connection. Because of my stomach, he invited me to go to his house. We went to grandmother's house on 2726 off of State Road 1. And he touched my stomach from my back and went around me and touched. He said, no good, no good. I said, I know. And he said, no energy, no energy. The portion of 10 inches of lower my abdomen was like a rock. And he touched and touched and finally said, nothing we can do, go. So I went. I called him and I said, I'd like to see you again. We start moving around doing Tai Chi together. He started teaching me how to move a little bit softer to get this result. And then eventually, when he moved to the new house, we started wrestling. He was relentless. He had extraordinary power and energy, and he moved along very hard. And for many years, this is all we did. We went outside, and we barely did anything. We came inside, we started wrestling, and everybody would go out of the house. Some people know. And then after I learned Wafa first from him, then Tai Chi, then we moved into Bagua and Shingi. I was ready to have a little bit more difficulty in my life. I came down with MS. I was blind within a short period of time. I'm still legally blind. And he would not give up on me. I would take a bus 3 hours, get to his class on Tuesday night, on Sunset Drive. I'll take a bus and go back, or someone give me a ride back home. We continued this relationship. I believe it was 2000, it was a Millennium competition. Only few of these people were there. Ken Marks was there. Competition was ferocious. Everybody was there, and everybody was young. I was in my late 50s, and Dorothy Osborne registered me for 4 fighting division in there. And I said, I am on medication, I can't even hardly move. Let me talk to Sifu to see if he would allow me to. When I went over there, I said, listen, I can't even hardly stand up. I'm just off of chemo and I can't even move. He said, make sure you do the wrestling too. Make sure you do the wrestling too. I hardly was able to walk. Once I went over there and I came back, we had a class in North Miami, a pretty good number of people in the class. I walked into the class and he did the first class and he suddenly saw me and he said, hi, how are you? I said, good, I am very good. I was exhausted. And I believe it or not, after I came from competition, I slept for the whole week. And I only did an afternoon competition. And the next day, all day, once I went on the floor, I was hardly able to move. Honestly, I couldn't even finish 1/4 in there the first day. But the next day I slept till they came and got me out of the bed and took me over there. And I had something important for him. And when I told him that, he said, how are you doing? I gave him the bag just like this. And I said, this is for you. And he reached in there and pulled all of this out. And he said, everybody come, everybody come over. Everybody familiar with Sifu suddenly said, everybody come. And he pulled it out and he said, look what Oji did for our class. And he put it back in there and he gave me a hug. I said, you're not sick anymore. You're good. We continued our practice since 2000 till I couldn't go over there anymore. He would come to me. And as Leo said, he loved to do push heads. And we were like two little kids would get into each other's head and we wouldn't let go for hours. And my sister often would say, don't you want to eat something? He wouldn't even answer. He'd say, push, push. We would go on and push all the time. Finally, at the end, was having a little bit difficulty. We would see each other only time that he had time to come and see. He was traveling, and eventually he went to the hospital. Sui Huang called me and said, Wei Lun is not doing good. He's in hospital, he just had a problem. When I went over there, when I saw him, he had organ failures, which is very difficult to recover from. And he actually fought pretty good for 15 days. They took all the insulin off of him. And then after that, unfortunately, he couldn't last much longer on Sunday. I was over there when he was taking last breath. I put my hand on his heart. I said, I know you're going, but you're going with a lot of love. I want you to go in peace and tranquility. We love you. Thank you.
I've been a student of seafoods for 8 or 9 years now. Well, we did some things together. Excuse me. One time we were going on a fishing trip. And I had been fishing since I was a little kid, deep sea fishing. So I knew I had to take Dramamine and drink water and prepare myself for the rough seas. Well, he brought a gallon of carrot juice, saying carrot juice is good for your stomach. Well, if anybody's ever been deep sea fishing and drank a half a gallon of carrot juice, it's not good. So about a half hour into the fishing trip, I look over at Sifu and say, no carrot juice! And we made it home safely, but no fish. Another story I have, I used to come out and train with Sifu at his house. And he would let me do my training, and then he'd come out and say, ready to train? Okay, yeah, let's train. And he came out, and we start working, and about an hour into the training, he looks down. Oh, I have no pants on. He was wearing his tighty whities the whole time. But you can't say anything. You just have to train. That's okay. Let's keep going. So we ended up training Sifu in his underwear. Huh?
Was that true?
Of course it's true. So, you know, he was a very funny person to me. One time I saw that he was very upset, and I recommended call Steffi. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. I said, let's wrestle. Let's get some of that energy out so you can relax. And he agreed, and normally he wouldn't agree. I'm not at that level. So he said, okay, well, then I got scared because he wanted to wrestle me. So I said, call Steffi, because she's a woman and she'll calm him down before he starts wrestling with me, because I didn't want to get on the floor with him like that. So we're wrestling around, and he's pushing on different places on me, and like I'm trying to absorb like deep into my bones, you know. I'm thinking that he's trying to fix me instead of wrestling. And he leans over, he's like, are you sleeping? I'm sorry, I thought you were trying to fix me. No, I'm trying to hurt you. So there's just a couple of the stories I have with my brother, my friend, my Sifu, other than teaching. So thank you.
Apart from my father and my mother, there's one man that has had the most influence in my life. Wei Lun, our meeting, it seemed inevitable. There were perhaps 3 threads, either one of which we would be introduced. When I was in undergraduate school and, you know, getting ready to leave town, basically, in about 6 months after, 8 months after I'd met him. But I kept coming back, and kept coming back again and again for more classes. So I've been to, you know, many of the away classes, the week-long classes in Wakulla, in Grand Tetons, in Blue Mountain Lake. brought him to Santa Fe a couple times. It's hard to know over the course of this many years a story that might give you some sense, but perhaps this one. One time when we were at Wakulla Springs back early on in the days when we could go, it was in April I think, or earlier part of the year, and we could go and go canoeing. And we'd gone up the Wakulla River, several of us, several canoes worth of people, and he was in a canoe with someone else, and I was in a canoe with someone else, and it was time to go back. And he said, "Jamie, get in the canoe with me." And I'm like, uh-huh. So I get in the canoe with him, and I forget who was the other person. They got in the canoe I was in, and then we took off because it was a race to get back, and he wanted me behind him to make sure that he got there first. He would say, no one wants to be number 2, right? So he knew with me in the canoe with him, we'd get there first. Together, we worked it out. Shifu, guiding father, is a term that I've learned the meaning of through my experience with this man. To his family, who were raised with him, who helped to bring him up, to make him the man that I met and learned from, I want to say thank you. My life would not be the life that I have without him. Thank you all. One more thing. Today, and for these weeks, I've been very sad with the thought that his life would end. And when it came the time, and after much thought, it had time to realize that he would pass, I was less sad because I was relieved for him. Also, my sadness is not complete sadness. It has a touch of joy and appreciation in the lessons that he has taught me, and that I will carry forward in myself, and that I will share with my students, and that I hope each of you has learned from him and will share as you move forward. We are part of a lineage that begins long before Sui Huang, and that will go long beyond each of our passing. I hope you will think on this and carry forward what he has taught you. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Jeff. I studied with Sui for about 7-8 years, off and on each time. First weekend was in Boston for a Bagua animal seminar, and he has an interesting way of teaching where it's hard to understand what he's saying. You just gotta figure it out. Once in a while you catch a word or two, a phrase hopefully, and it sets in. But he's watching you sort of out of the corner of his eye while he's doing everything. You think he's not really paying attention, but every once in a while you'll catch a glimpse. He's looking at everyone, connecting with everyone, not with his eyes though. The sensitivity he had to the entire room was astounding. He knew what everyone was feeling when he talked and what they were experiencing. I have an interesting background in religious studies and theology, ancient religions. And I played 9 years of football, 10 years of football, 9 years of baseball, 4 years of wrestling before I graduated high school. And then I started Tai Chi, because I was done with competition. but I didn't really have very many good teachers. I just had people, different styles, always trying to tell me to do something different, and I just said, forget teachers, I don't want any. So I just read some things and just stretched and did my thing. And then this weekend in Boston, I'm watching him, trying to understand what he's saying, but I do massage, so watching people's movement is what I do. And so I was able to catch a few words and integrate it because I'm watching what he's doing, and he's expressing much more in what he's doing than what he's saying. So I could tell he was paying attention to me. And then we're doing lion, and stretching out. I guess my shoulder wasn't really open very much. He comes over, and he says my shoulder, he comes over. Just beating on my shoulder. Everybody, you can see everybody in the mirrors, everybody's like, but it was opening up, and everything happened, and it looked like there was a little bruise there, but only for about 45 minutes. It was the weirdest thing. But I knew that this concept of a master that I'd always read about was a fantasy until then. And the blessing of working with him was amazing. At the end of that workshop, he told Marie, who was hosting the workshop, he said, I'll go anywhere he goes, anywhere he wants to go. What? So I had a massage office in Tahoe at the time. I brought him out to Tahoe to work with some personal trainers and some people that I know. He loves skiing. So this one guy was a ski instructor. And it wasn't ski season, but he was showing us 10-step breathing, and we were trying to talk him into doing the video. Will you video it for us? Can we take a video so we can work with it? And he's like, no. He kept trying all weekend to talk him into it. Finally, I worked at it enough to sort of remember it. I was like, all right, will you at least let us record me and you coach me? And he's like, okay. And then we're finding the right spot, looking over the lake, it's a beautiful spot. We're just getting ready, and then he's like, okay, I'll do it. And we're like, oh, excellent. If I can find this little video, it's a beautiful HD video of him doing the 10-step breathing with the Tahoe in the background. But watching the power of his body, the way he moves it, was nothing that I could ever imagine experiencing without watching him. And one of the things he said to me was that he was grateful that he could see what he was teaching reflect in my body weight, because I work on it. I was working on it. And everything he taught made all of the theories, all of the mythologies, all of these things that I studied for years actually come alive. And that's a real master to teach and make it alive. Tantra, that's what it means. Religion, that's what it means. Being able to connect and make it alive. So I thank him for making my life live.
My name is Don Hauser. This is my sister Jenny. This is Lisa Valachi. And my name is karaoke. I remember the first time that, in retrospect, he was very compassionate because a friend of mine whom I was renting from then drove up, and the music was pounding from her car, and she dropped me off sort of, arrogantly in a way, like it doesn't matter how loud the music is. And I entered the class all embarrassed, and he didn't say anything. Like, there was no reprimand. It was just sort of like, you kind of knew what this friend was like, even though you never met her, and there was no problems. and he was a magnificent teacher and friend for nearly 32 years, but he had a sense of humor, and he was willing to try new things like karaoke. So when I met Lisa in karaoke, and then when I introduced him to karaoke the first time, I was with him and he said, "Oh, pretty good energy. Oh, I like it, I like it." And then I never got him to actually sing anything, but he boogied like crazy. And really, yeah, he liked to dance, you know, and he would get up there and he broke through the shyness as well, like my sister did, who, "Oh, I can't do that." And it didn't matter to him. He could try new foods, he could try karaoke, he could try something that was out of the realm of what he usually did, and it didn't matter. Just like, you know, you could learn something like Bagua or Bafa and all these different things that you think, "I could never do this." And then all of a sudden you'd be doing it. And then asking for more. And the same thing. He could get up there and really enjoy what was happening in karaoke. And he'd never been there, you know? It didn't matter. He could eat all kinds of foods, like I introduced him to buttermilk. He got to love it, you know? It's an acquired taste. So anyway, let Lisa.
Well, I met Wei Lun, unfortunately, way too late in life, but I do have a great appreciation for the impact he had on my brother's life, and consequently on my life. My brother, as he stated, knew him for 32 years. He was a brother to my brother, as a part of being a mentor. And as a result of that, I said, "Well, okay, Don, come to the family Halloween party. Bring Wei Lun." He came in costume, and everybody delighted in him. Now, mind you, my mother's family is Cuban. This is a little Havana Halloween party, but he was able to communicate with all, and he reached people on a different level, and I think he signed up a few students there. But the idea is the next time I saw him was my brother's 60th birthday party. He was the honored guest. And again, this is my mother's assisted living facility, old people, young people, wherever he was. He generated energy, he fit in, he made everyone else feel comfortable by the way that he was. And it is something that is very rare in life, to have someone who can evoke that kind of instantaneous connection with people and make other people feel so comfortable at the same time. And on the day that he passed, well, last Sunday, my brother and I were at South Miami Hospital and trying to find out if we could go see him. I had been praying for him since I heard of his illness. And we tried every way. We finagled the nurses to tell us. We found out. It was very hard. It was very hard. But you know, I pray that he has gone in peace and tranquility. And the next day on Facebook, I hadn't known this man very long, but I dedicated a page with a different picture, and I put some birds there, and I said, his soul was so beautiful, fly free, because I think his spirit and his soul is so beautiful, and I know that he's out there, and he's watching over us, and I thank him for the brief time that he entered into my life, but I thank him most of all for the impact he had on my brother's life, and he really, really has touched us all. Thank you.
Hi, Lisa. I would say I totally agree with Jenny. That Halloween night was a great night for all of us. Wei Lun did show up in his Oriental, I guess, is what he would use for teaching, as a monk. Everybody loved it. He totally fit in. We became friends. He was having some problems with his back, and I told him, well, I'm a healer, I believe I can help you. And for a very short period of time, like a brother and sister relationship. And in the very beginning, it was like we felt like we knew each other our whole lives. I said, do you believe in reincarnation? He says, possibly. He said, maybe that explains it. And he just was a friend that could talk about any subject, you know, and there was nothing he couldn't express or know. He had the deep wisdom within his heart and soul, and I appreciate his friendship, his kindness. He even remembered my birthday, which was very sweet. A lot of people don't in your life, you know. And I just know that he brought so much to all of us and the world. Thank you.
Well, one other thing that I was reflecting upon is that somebody remarkable cannot help but breed or bring together remarkable people. So my thanks to all the remarkable people that I've met through him, whether his family, his students, fellow teachers, everyone that I've met that I think are remarkable people in and of themselves, but also because of their interaction with him.
I would have to agree with that. Say thank you.
Hi, my name is Pam, and I'm from Boston, and I've trained with Sifu for many, many years, both in these Boston seminars and around the country. And I had a request from Marie Favorino and Jamie Culbertson, who many of you know very well. Marie is president of the Boston Healing Tao. Louder? She's president of the Boston Healing Tao, and several times a year would host Sifu up in the Boston area. And she posted a tribute to her website because, of course, she's a teacher, and many of her students would come to his seminars when he came up to Boston, and then they, in turn, became students of Sifu's. And they asked me if I would read the tribute that they posted at this ceremony. It is difficult to write about our teacher now that he has left this earth plane just a few days ago. We live, learn, play, and practice without him now. To think we will never see him again. And so we will share the immense gratitude and appreciation we have for an extraordinary Qigong master and friend, Master Wei Lun Huang, since he has now made his way back to the eternal Tao. Since the mid-90s, we brought him up to the Boston Healing Tao community to teach us Tai Chi, Bagua Qigong, and more. Students would never miss an opportunity to be with him when he came. Some traveled from afar just to be here with us for the special weekends. He taught us Yang-style Tai Chi, many Qigong forms, Bagua Qigong, and intense Qigong, Tai Chi sword, and more. I often describe the way he moved to be as fluid as water, yet also like thunder and lightning. Oh. His demonstrations were always true to what he was wanting to teach us. Everybody, let's go, he'd say, and we'd begin the form together. Most of our Boston weekend workshops went like this. We'd have a workshop Friday evening and all day Saturday. Then we'd all get dressed up and go out to a fundraiser gala dinner on Saturday night, the St. Rocco Festival Banquet, which is hosted by Marie's mother, Carmela. We'd eat and dance until midnight, then back to the workshop experience all day Sunday. And on Mondays, we would take a drive up to the New Hampshire mountains to go skiing for the day. It must have been all that chi we generated in the workshops that allowed us this kind of demanding but oh so fun schedule. He was always up for an adventure, always working out and playing with joy and an underlying focus on connections and flow. Each year we would attend one or two of his week-long seminars, either in the Adirondack Mountains of New York or in McCall Springs, Florida. Each location offered us the opportunity to work out in natural settings near a lake or a river with tall, tall trees all around us. After the long workouts, we would have a feast and perhaps a cool jump in the lake. He himself was always trying to improve. He was constantly seeking, finding, and deepening the center line. In his own words, Xingyi strikes like lightning, Bagua twists like a tornado, Tai Chi is like the ocean, deep and calm, but reserves immeasurable power. Sifu, we take you with us now in every movement of our practice, in every class we teach, in the poetry of movement found in nature, and in Tai Chi. You used to say, everything is Tai Chi. We will use a lifetime to ponder these things. Sifu, we hold forever a deep gratitude and love for the power and grace you showed us. Marie, Jamie, and Joe, Boston Healing Down senior instructors. So that was their tribute. It's beautiful. So while I'm standing before you, I just want to mention to you that many of us have been, of course, previous to this sequence of events, planning to go to Wakulla Springs, Florida for the next week-long workshop that he's planning in the first week of November. And since the events unfolded, there's been a very strong urge to go to Wakulla Springs, Florida in November. To all meet together, whoever would like to come, practice forms together, remind each other of the places where we have some blank spots in our forms, and just to be together as a further tribute to Wei Lun Huang. So if anybody would be interested in joining this, please make sure that you sign your name with your email address in a yellow folder, and so that we can get the word out. The plans are absolutely in the very beginning stage. We still need to discuss with the lodge exactly how this is all going to work. But we'll be in touch with everybody and let you know the plans as they develop. Okay? Thank you.
抽翻去城市，即係翻上屋企。咁當時咧，阿倫知道咗我翻，即係可以翻城市嘅，佢就好開心。咁佢就用咗幾日嘅時間咧，就將自己啊，將喺屋企堆咗幾年嘅爛單車，就用幾日時間將佢修理好。咁然後咧就俾佢自己咧就踩架爛單車，就俾佢自己踩開嗰架好嘅單車俾我。咁跟住冇幾耐咧，我阿婆喺美國翻去中國探親，咁當時咧阿婆就帶咗一架新嘅單車翻嚟。咁按理咧就嗰架單車咧順理就應該要交，即係由阿倫踩嘅。但係咧阿倫當時諗到佢個細佬阿聰。佢最中意踩單車，最中意靚單車嘅，所以阿倫咧，佢就將嗰架新單車咧就讓咗俾阿聰，而將阿聰踩開嗰架單車咧就自己嚟踩。咁好啦，過咗一段時間，我個妹阿芳Sui Huang，佢又喺農村抽翻嚟啦。咁當時咧。阿倫就二話冇説，就將佢自己踩開，即係阿聰踩過嗰架舊單車咧，就認為比較好嘅就俾咗我妹踩。佢自己咧又試踩翻嗰架爛單車。咁大家唔知有冇聽過中國古代一個典故，就係孔融讓梨。孔融係孔子嘅20世子弟，佢咧係一個好有名嘅文學家。咁但係咧，佢喺4歲嗰年咧，佢就有一次嗰佢阿爺嘅生日會嗰度，佢就雖然4歲，阿爺就叫佢將一盤好甜嘅梨就分俾嗰啲兄弟子。咁佢自己咧就將最細嗰個梨就留翻俾自己。咁呢個故事咧就已經即係喺幾千年嚟已經成為咗教育了，即係教導年青人，即係教導我哋點樣謙讓、禮讓， 嘅家園戶曉嘅故事。咁阿倫咧，佢就不但止啊，好似先人咁樣學將先人嘅優秀品質作為自己學習嘅榜樣，而且咧就不斷咁樣發揚光大。阿倫呢種重親情、毫不利己、專門上人呢種咁嘅高尚嘅情操，係好值得我哋大家學習嘅。而且咧就幾十年一直都鞭策住。咁我今日咧就講俾大家聽呢個，我認為係好平凡而好動人嘅故事。咁而家咧我 Kelvin 翻譯俾大家聽。
I'll translate for Wei Lun's sister, my mother-in-law. Today, in remembrance of my brother Wei Lun, the fond memories and the fond memories I have of him, I'd like to share a short story to summarize. In the 1970s, China was in a period of economic distress with a shortage of basic necessities like food and supplies. At that time, bicycles were the main form of transportation in the country. In 1974, after 6 years of mandated farming life imposed by the Chinese Communist Party, I was able to move back home. Wei Lun spent 3 days fixing and cleaning an old and abandoned bike for himself and insisted on giving his own bike to me to use. Soon afterwards, our grandmother, who lived in the US at that time, had an opportunity to visit China. As a gift to us, she brought a brand new bike, which all of us agreed Wei Lun should be the one to use. However, Wei Lun insisted on trading the new bike for an older bike with his younger brother. And as soon after that, our sister also moved back from mandated farming, and he immediately gave the older bike that he traded with our younger brother to our sister so he could continue to use the abandoned bike that he had fixed up. In China, there was a legend from thousands of years ago. A descendant of Confucius who had kept the smallest pear to himself just to save the remaining larger pears for his siblings. The story was used as a model to teach morality and etiquette. My brother Wei Lun not only set a good example of this teaching, but he also focused on influencing others with the same principle. His selflessness and strong family values have always deeply impacted my life and others who know him well. I truly believe this aspect of his values can be an example for all of us to follow.
My name is Dorothy Osborne, and I met seafood the first time in 1998. I already had 6 years under my belt, starting in a physical rehab hospital in New Jersey. Not realizing my first camp was going to be the first time ever that classical pushing hand was taught in the U.S. So who's there? Me, with very little experience, and pretty much everyone else, like Jamie, with 20 years of experience, all these teachers that are bringing back this, called it a treasure, to their students. By the third day, I was ready to bail and ask anyone. I'm an Aries woman, I very rarely give up, but it also included math, so that was another obstacle. But all of a sudden, he was so different because he really believed in hands-on. Most teachers look and they yell, follow me, but you think you're doing it right. And like this gentleman said, and he was touching him, all of a sudden you could feel it. So we had sort of like two lines of people, and we were working on pushing hands. And it was insane for me because I also had only been doing pushing hands 2 weeks before the camp. So thank you, Oliver and Jamie and Sifu, because somehow they just kept pushing me through the line and pushing me through the line, and I realized all of a sudden the energy and the flow, it was just incredible, and all of a sudden I was really a part of a new family of Tai Chi brothers and sisters. The compassion that Sifu had, and also in a lot of the teachers that he created and loved him. So I stayed, and Constantine is here. It turned out that the people that were really into learning it mathematically sat at one table, and then those of us who just will eventually learn it sat at another table. That was my first time. So gracious. I feel so much gratitude to him, and especially for having camped in 2000 in Blue Mountain, where I met my husband. We were friends. Months later, when we had a seminar in Miami, we became more than friends. And in 2003, we married. So because of Sifu, we have treasures in our life with each other. And all I can say is, for those that know how he moves, just try to imagine a wedding with 85 people. About 40 were Tai Chi friends, and Sifu did not miss a beat. He's doing all kinds of Tai Chi moves to the music, and again, it was that same flowing, wonderful feeling. And we were able to say goodbye to him at the hospital, and I just stroked his hair. I wasn't sure if it was okay. You know, it's my Sifu, you're touching him. And I didn't care. I held his hand and I told him to please be at peace. And thank you to Sue for inspiring me. We just met in the hospital.
Thank you,
and, she created a monster, maybe with the website. So please continue to send pictures there to honor her.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I just one last thing I want to let you know, mention something to you, and is I call the Reuben. Everybody gets one. I just want you to know where this comes from. That's from Wei Lun's bed sheet. I cut it up and put Wei Lun's chart on it. So everybody take one, make sure you take one home for your memory.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you can
Stephanie watched it though. So
you can smell it.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Well, thank you very much.
Afterwards, in Chinese tradition, we have the incense up here, and we have a lighter. And typically, you're welcome to come up, grab 3. It's always 3. You light it, and you put it up there, just like so. And you can just bow on your own if you like to do that. That's a way of honoring him and for his own passing. So right now, we're going to bow one more time. And on behalf of our family, thank you everyone for coming and being here today and honoring the memory of our Sifu friend and uncle and brother. And especially for those who were here all week, all month, and throughout the years. Rio especially. So my name is Shai, if I had to introduce myself. I'm Sui Huang's son. And I know that my uncle wanted kids. And it saddened me years ago that I need to have kids. In a way, I always thought that since I'm the oldest of the family in our generation, we had an older cousin, unfortunately, respond in a way that I was my son. For him. Unfortunately, I'm very old. Never articulated enough. I had a sense of obligation. So on behalf of all the family, thank you again, and I know that we'll all be honored forever.
I don't understand why.
You were over there to see you. That's all I did. Now I have to do something more for the others. I did. don't want to miss my heart. Let me just give a hug to the rest. It's a sad loss.